Hello there everybody! Following the big interest related to my previous video, based on the best Metascore games for the Dreamcast, I've had no choice but to continue with those console-based rankings, with the most famous console of all time, the PS2. Enjoy! The PlayStation 2 is the best-selling console of all time, and its library reflects that scale with an incredible range of genres, styles, and groundbreaking games. From cinematic action titles to deep RPGs, innovative platformers, and genre-defining open-world experiences, the PS2 era marked a major evolution in game design. As with previous rankings, this list is not based purely on personal opinion. It's built using a combination of critic scores, user ratings, review volume, and long-term reception in order to balance quality, popularity, and historical impact. The goal is to identify not just great games, but the titles that defined the PlayStation 2 and influenced the industry. Remember to watch the video until the end, because in this list you're gonna find games that will probably shock you. Don't forget to tell me in the comments your opinions about that top 20, and let us begin with the first game. Opening with a platform heavyweight classic, Ratchet & Clank Going Commando builds from the foundation of the original, with a stronger focus on combat, progression, and variety. The weapon system is more dynamic, with upgrades that evolve based on usage, encouraging experimentation and different playstyles. Level design is diverse, mixing platforming, shooting, and side activities that keep the pacing fresh throughout the game. At the same time, the humor, characters, and world maintain a light, engaging tone that gives the experience personality. Looking back, Going Commando stands out as a confident sequel that refined its formula and became one of the most complete and enjoyable platformers on the PlayStation 2. Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4 blends traditional turn-based RPG mechanics with social simulation in a way that feels both structured and personal. Combat revolves around exploiting enemy weaknesses and managing party synergy, while the calendar system ties progression to daily choices and relationships. The small town setting and character interactions give the story a grounded, human feel that evolves naturally over time. Dungeons add variety, but it's the balance between gameplay and character development that defines the experience. It remains one of the most distinctive and engaging RPGs on the PlayStation 2. Soul Calibur 2 delivers a refined and highly polished weapon-based fighting experience, building on the strengths of its predecessor with smoother mechanics and greater balance. The combat system is easy to approach but offers real depth through spacing, timing, and character-specific strategies. Each fighter feels distinct, encouraging experimentation and mastery over time. The game also stands out for its content, including multiple modes and console-exclusive characters that add variety and replay value. It established itself as one of the most complete and competitive fighting games available on the PlayStation 2. SSX3 takes the arcade snowboarding formula and expands it into a seamless, open mountain that players can explore from peak to base without interruption. This creates a strong sense of flow, as runs feel connected rather than isolated. The gameplay rewards creativity and control, with long descents, shortcuts, and trick chains encouraging mastery over time. Progression is naturally integrated into the mountain, pushing players to explore and improve. Combined with its energetic presentation and soundtrack, SSX3 stands as one of the most immersive and well-crafted extreme sports games on the PlayStation 2. Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal refines the series into a more combat-focused experience, expanding both weapon variety and encounter design. The arsenal feels larger and more creative than ever, with upgrades that encourage experimentation and different approaches to combat. Levels balance platforming and shooting more tightly, keeping the pacing consistently engaging while introducing set-piece moments that break up the action. The writing and characters lean more heavily into humor and personality, giving the world a stronger identity. It stands as one of the most complete and well-balanced entries in the Ratchet and Clank series on the PlayStation 2. Burnout Revenge pushes the arcade racing formula into pure aggression, focusing less on clean driving and more on controlled chaos. The core mechanic encourages players to take down opponents, using traffic, boosts, and aggressive positioning to dominate each race. Track design is built around speed and destruction, with busy roads and tight routes that constantly force split-second decisions. The sense of impact is amplified by the crash system, which turns collisions into a central part of the experience rather than a penalty. It remains one of the most intense and satisfying arcade racers on the PlayStation 2. Gran Turismo 4 represents the peak of simulation racing on the PlayStation 2, offering an enormous amount of content and a strong focus on realism. The driving model emphasizes precision, weight transfer, and tire management, rewarding patience and technical skill over aggression. With hundreds of cars and a wide range of tracks, the game provides long-term depth that encourages progression through licenses, championships, and challenges. Its presentation is clean and functional, prioritizing driving clarity over spectacle. It stands as one of the most complete and technically impressive racing simulators of its generation. Final Fantasy X marks a major turning point for the series, bringing fully voiced storytelling and a more cinematic presentation to the PlayStation 2. The world of Spira is richly detailed, with a strong sense of culture, religion, and conflict that drives the narrative forward. Combat uses a turn-based system that clearly displays turn order, allowing for more strategic planning and flexibility in party composition. Character progression is handled through the sphere grid, offering customization and gradual growth over time. The combination of emotional storytelling, memorable characters, and strong world building makes it one of the most defining RPGs on the PlayStation 2. Grand Theft Auto Vice City builds on its predecessor by delivering a more stylized and focused open-world experience set in a vibrant 1980s-inspired city. The game blends mission-based progression with free exploration, allowing players to engage in a wide range of criminal activities at their own pace. Its structure encourages experimentation, whether through main story missions, side activities, or simply exploring the city's streets and atmosphere. The soundtrack and aesthetic design play a major role in shaping its identity, giving Vice City a strong sense of time and place. It stands as one of the most iconic and influential open-world games on the PlayStation 2. Personally, this game is an important part of my life, and I find its aesthetics the best in the series. Okami stands out on the PlayStation 2 for its distinctive visual style and creative approach to gameplay, blending action-adventure mechanics with brush-based abilities. The Celestial Brush system allows players to interact with the world in unique ways, solving puzzles, restoring environments, and influencing combat through drawn gestures. Exploration is central to the experience, with a world inspired by Japanese mythology that feels both artistic and cohesive in its design. Combat mixes timing, positioning, and ability use, while progression steadily expands your tools and options. It remains one of the most original and visually striking games on the PlayStation 2. Silent Hill 2 focuses on psychological horror rather than traditional survival scares, using atmosphere, symbolism, and storytelling to create a deeply unsettling experience. The game follows a slow, deliberate pace that builds tension through exploration, limited resources, and constant uncertainty. Combat is intentionally heavy and uncomfortable, reinforcing the sense of vulnerability rather than empowerment. The fog-covered environments and sound design play a crucial role in shaping the mood, making every location feel isolated and oppressive. It remains one of the most influential horror games on the PlayStation 2, defined by its emotional depth and psychological storytelling. God of War delivers a fast, brutal action experience built around large-scale combat, platforming, and cinematic presentation. The combat system emphasizes combos, timing, and spectacle, with a focus on chaining attacks against groups of enemies while managing special abilities. Encounters are designed to feel powerful and dynamic, often blending seamlessly into set-piece moments and environmental interaction. The mythological setting draws heavily from Greek mythology, giving the game a strong narrative backdrop filled with gods, monsters, and larger-than-life stakes. It stands as one of the most defining action games on the PlayStation 2, known for its intensity and cinematic design. Shadow of the Colossus strips gameplay down to its essentials, focusing almost entirely on exploration and boss encounters against massive colossi. Each encounter functions like a puzzle, requiring players to study movement patterns, find weaknesses, and climb towering creatures to deliver precise strikes. The world itself is vast and quiet, with minimal guidance, which reinforces a strong sense of isolation and scale. Movement, atmosphere, and pacing all work together to create a reflective and emotional experience, rather than a traditional action structure. It stands as one of the most unique and artistically ambitious games on the PlayStation 2. Burnout 3 Takedown redefines arcade racing by turning aggression into the core mechanic, rewarding players for forcing opponents into crashes at high speed. The gameplay is built around constant risk and reward, where boosting aggressively can lead to both huge advantages and spectacular wrecks. Races are fast, chaotic, and tightly designed, with traffic and track layouts constantly pushing split-second reactions. The crash system becomes a highlight rather than a punishment, turning collisions into dramatic set pieces. It stands as one of the most intense, polished, and satisfying arcade racing games on the PlayStation 2. God of War 2 expands on the foundation of the original by increasing the scale, variety, and ambition of its set pieces and encounters. Combat remains fast and brutal, but now feels more refined, with a wider range of abilities, weapons, and cinematic transitions between gameplay and storytelling. Boss fights and platforming segments are larger and more dynamic, constantly pushing the sense of spectacle. The game also deepens its mythological narrative, following Kratos on a larger, more personal path tied to revenge and destiny. It stands as one of the most polished and impactful action games on the PlayStation 2. ESPN NFL 2K5 is widely regarded as one of the most complete and polished sports games of its generation, delivering a deep football simulation with surprising accessibility. The gameplay balances strategy and execution, with strong emphasis on play calling, timing, and reading defensive setups. Presentation plays a major role, with a broadcast-style package that makes every match feel like a real televised event, adding personality and immersion. Franchise and legacy modes provide long-term depth, encouraging season-to-season progression and team management. It remains one of the most influential and respected sports titles on the PlayStation 2, often remembered for raising the standard of football games. Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence expands the original release with refinements that enhance both gameplay and presentation, strengthening its position as one of the most complete stealth action experiences on the PlayStation 2. The core mechanics emphasize survival, camouflage, and tactical decision-making, where every encounter can be approached in multiple ways depending on preparation and awareness. The jungle setting adds verticality and environmental variety, encouraging careful observation and patient movement rather than direct confrontation. Subsistence also improves camera control and includes additional content that deepens replayability and experimentation. It stands as one of the most refined and fully realized entries in the Metal Gear Solid series. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty delivers a highly cinematic stealth experience that pushes presentation, storytelling, and gameplay systems in ambitious directions. The game emphasizes infiltration, observation, and non-lethal problem solving, where player awareness and timing are often more important than direct combat. Its level design encourages experimentation through guard patterns, environmental interactions, and multiple approaches to each scenario. The narrative is complex and heavily scripted, blending philosophical themes with military intrigue in a way that constantly challenges player expectations. It stands as one of the most ambitious and technically impressive stealth action games on the PlayStation 2. Resident Evil 4 2005 redefines the survival horror formula by shifting toward a more action-oriented, over-the-shoulder perspective while maintaining tension and resource management. Combat focuses on precision aiming, positioning, and crowd control, where every encounter can escalate quickly if not handled carefully. Enemy design and pacing create constant pressure, pushing players to adapt their strategies rather than rely on memorization. The game also introduces more dynamic environments and set-piece moments that break up exploration with intense combat scenarios. It stands as one of the most influential and genre-defining action horror games on the PlayStation 2. Topping the list is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the most ambitious and expansive open-world game on the PlayStation 2. It pushes the boundaries of scale and freedom, offering an entire state to explore, from dense urban cities to rural countryside and deserts, all packed with activities, missions, and systems that constantly interact with each other. The game blends structured storytelling with near-limitless player freedom, allowing progression to feel both cinematic and personal at the same time. Mechanics like driving, combat, customization, and exploration all come together into a single living ecosystem that rewards long-term play. Its world design, cultural impact, and sheer scope make it one of the defining video games of its generation, and the clear number one on this list. And that's our ranking of the top 20 PlayStation 2 games of all time. From massive open-world adventures and cinematic action epics to genre-defining RPGs, stealth experiences, racing legends, and experimental masterpieces, the PS2 library truly represents one of the most important eras in gaming history. Of course, rankings like this always spark debate. Did your favorite PS2 game make the list, or would you reorder the top spots differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and I'm always curious to see different perspectives. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more retro gaming rankings, deep dives, and analysis videos like this. Sharing the video also helps a lot and keeps the channel growing. Next up, we'll be covering more classic gaming eras and ranking even more legendary titles. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.